All right, so moving into gaming and tech. Technology, funny thing. It's the whole time we're trying to build robots and AI and smart machines so they can fix all of our problems. All the while trying to get those problems fixed before they get smart enough to realize that we are largely the problem. My money's on the machines. This week's tech is glitching away. We have sales craters, we have delays that feel like loading screens from hell, and a lot to talk about. So let's go. Welcome once again, nerds, to the Clips channel. This is a smaller portion of a much larger video called The Week in Nerddom that happens over on the main channel. This portion is specifically the gaming and tech portion, where we're going to be talking about brand new things in the world of gaming and tech. So like new computer things. We don't really get too deep into that. I feel like the guys over at Linus and Gamers Nexus and such cover that fairly well. So we'll get the broad strokes there. We'll get in a little bit more deeply in the gaming side of things, so new announcements, DLCs, etc., etc. And then, you know, we're going to suggest some things for you to try out between now and next time you come back. So thank you for joining me. Let's get into the news. Follow-ups and corrections. We're starting with potentially the largest piece in gaming and tech, and that is the Call of Duty launch hasn't gone so well for Microsoft. So this is kind of a self-inflicted gunshot wound the size of a AAA title, because Call of Duty has apparently lost a staggering $300 million as of launch. And the culprit here is none other than Microsoft's own arrogance, honestly. By pushing gamers to go for Game Pass and not purchasing the actual game, they have, by and large, effectively trained their gamers, their core audience, to not pay for physical games anymore, just do the day one version of Game Pass. This is kind of a classic tale of corporate synergy eating its own tail. It works like this. Microsoft really wanted to prop up Game Pass numbers in order to entice investors, if you will. And in so doing, they kind of kneecapped the golden goose. Sure, subscriptions are up, but like at what cost? You can't just evaporate $300 million in direct sales and then just pretend like it means nothing. This is very clearly a massive red flag that says the everything as a service model that all of the gaming industry is pushing right now maybe isn't exactly the golden ticket that everyone was hoping it was going to be. In other news, Take-Two's CEO is kind of still trying to explain the GTA 6 delay. As it stands right now, it is officially only been pushed to May 26th of 2026, but the, what's his name, Strauss Zelnick, has been dodging the question of when he's asked these things in interviews. Instead of answering that when question, he's blaming it on a couple of things. Ballooning dev tabs, also COVID, and all the while saying basically that they're going to use this as an excuse to jack up the price of the game when it finally does launch. Because of course they are. Next up this is follow-ups and corrections still, man. This is a long episode, I apologize. But next up in follow-ups and corrections, Instagram has officially started rolling out what they're considering PG-13 restrictions for children on their platform, because you technically are supposed to be at least 13 in order to have an account on Instagram. So it looks like they're scrubbing feeds, stories, all of that, and the new parental controls are inbound, but
Lord only knows if and when those are actually going to be implemented. I guess it's better late than never. Follow up on the Invincible fighting game, Invincible Versus. They just released a trailer, and so I guess this could have gone in trailers, but also it's a roster update, so that's why we're going here. But just released a trailer of Cecil Stedman, who is the guy who runs the Bureau of the government that is in charge of superheroes. If you haven't read the comic or watched the show yet, he's going to be a range character, it would seem. So there's a lot of plasma blasts. He's got Reanimen at his beck and call, which is going to be incredibly interesting, all the way up to like orbital strikes. So go check out the trailer, link in the description. Robert Kirkman is definitely geeking out in recent interviews over the high fidelity, the amazing quality of this, going so far as to call the story mode rather kind of an extended special episode from the series, which is kind of a big claim, I guess. Still no release date for this bad boy yet, other than sometime in 2026. Thanks, guys, that's really specific. And then, in a move that is absolutely, definitely not directly related to them being grilled by Congress, YouTube is starting what they're calling a second chance program. Said second chance program is going to be used to reinstate previously banned accounts, specifically accounts that were banned for things like COVID, quote-unquote misinformation, as well as the 2020 election issues, I guess we could call it, but nothing like, no like actual propaganda from governments that hate this country or Google specifically, no child harm issues, no pornography issues, any of that stuff. That's not getting a second chance. What is getting a second chance is protected political speech, it would seem. And also, I feel like definitely the timing is pure coincidence. This has nothing to do with what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, right? And then rounding out follow-ups and corrections is one that honestly should have happened years ago at this point, about 2 years ago. Fallout 76 is rolling out DLC that is finally going to let you play as Walton Goggins' character, the Ghoul, in the game. Well, a ghoul like that. There's a portion of the new DLC that is voiced, the voiceover is done by Goggins as said ghoul, but I mean, we're kind of splitting hairs at that point. The DLC is launching in December. It is going to tie in with Season 2 of Fallout 76 a little bit more heavily than originally reported. Burning Springs is the name of it. There's going to be a lot more wild geography. Bounties are going to come into factions is also on here. Some words are jumbling, but bounties are going to come into play and factions are going to come into play. Reportedly, there are going to be other synchronizations with the main story timeline in the proper world of Fallout, but no specifics were really given there. Also, more crossovers have been hinted down the road. So, assuming this continues or we get other spin-off series or something, those will be crossed over as well, is the implication. So, kind of at this point, it's like, yeah, this should have happened with Season 1, so welcome to the party, pals. I guess better late than irradiated. That one doesn't stick very well. Gaming trailers, gaming and tech, like I said, there was the one, but aside from that, we didn't really get any trailers to speak of, at least no AAA or anything like super noteworthy, so I guess the industry took the day off, or the week off, maybe. Whatever, we're moving on. So now let's talk about some regular ass news here in gaming and tech. Not a whole lot this week, but let's just do the thing anyway. Netflix is teaming up with Spotify, and they are bringing video podcasts to Netflix via Spotify. So now you get to watch two dudes argue in their basement about aliens on your 80-inch TV and not just on your phone screen. The future is now. And then potentially the most annoying piece of news this week in gaming and tech, there is a new study out that is claiming that women and older adults make up a huge chunk, i.e. more than half, so technically a majority, of US gamers, yes. And every time one of these studies gets published, they fail to mention, at least in the headlines of it all and in the sensational news of it all, they fail to mention that the way they qualify what a quote-unquote gamer is basically anyone who's played Candy Crush while they were pooping. Meanwhile, the people who are actually spending $90 on a AAA title still skew largely male. It is a majority that is slimming, but it is definitely still the majority of real sounds like I'm gatekeeping something, but like people who pay this money are usually male. There's no way to say that otherwise. But please, by all means, keep trying to make Forspoken a thing. And then in the, I don't know, this one is one of those that like didn't really have a home necessarily. So because it's kind of tech adjacent, we're putting it here, but the Golden Globes have added a new award for the ceremony. Podcasts. Yay. This year's nominees include Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly, amongst a few others, but like, so this very clearly has much less to do with honoring the new medium, which at this point, if you're still considering podcasts a new medium, that definitely broadcasts your disconnect with your audience. So less honoring new medium and more desperate ploy at staying relevant. And I feel like that one's kind of obvious. And then our final piece here, this one actually happened on our week off, but I had to talk about it because it's Mortal Kombat related. Dan Forden, the sound designer for 30 plus years in the company, the guy who was the sound designer on the very first game, the guy whose face pops up in Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 whenever you do the proper uppercut timing. It's different per game, but it's not every uppercut. Either way, the guy, the Toasty guy, Toasty! Hopefully I can find that and insert it here. But yeah, that guy has left NetherRealm Studios. He's moving on to greener pastures, it would seem. He's not dead, but he's done. No announcement if he's moving on to another gaming company or if he's just gonna take the money and run. Either way, it is absolutely the end of an era. So, remembrances, I guess. And then that puts us into suggestions, right and squarely. Our suggestion this week, Erd Tree, Shadow of the Erd Tree. If you have not yet done this DLC, this is a soul-crushing fantasy. This is a Souls-like because it's from FromSoft, teaming with George R.R. Martin. The DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree, though, adds a whole bunch of extra stuff with Mesmer's Flames and Perfumed Tricks. You can co-op the agony, or you can solo the glory, but go ahead and give it a shot if you have not. That is your suggestion for the week. This one is peak tabletop vibes with a video game flair for sure.
All right, nerds, let's be real. You need to stay up. You're going to be up all night. You need a little bit of energy. You're going to be finishing that raid or grinding on the most recent battle pass for whatever game you happen to be playing. And that's where DUBBY comes in. DUBBY is the clean fuel for your all-night shenanigans. So it doesn't make you feel like your heart is going to be exploding out of your chest anytime soon. One of my favorites, one of my absolute go-tos is the Calio Cream. Calio Cream. I always want to say Dream for some reason. Calio Cream. It is orange cream flavored. It is freaking awesome. And you can get 10% off of it. If you go to DUBBY and use code GenerallyNerdy at checkout, you'll get actually 10% off of everything in your cart. You get a little bit, I get a little bit, Dubby gets a little bit, it's win-win all over. So once again, go to dubby.gg, that is DUBBY.gg, code generally nerdy at checkout, and upgrade your brain juice. Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of the sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.